big moment here. We're going to be doing something we don't normally do.
That is correct.
On our podcast.
Oh, yes,
it's
that
not
too.
It's not the beverage. This type of beverage we do, but it's what we might be, mixing it with.
Yeah, that's
it's
actually
something we don't normally do.
No, we don't even like to even tread into this territory.
Right.
We're about to jump into this pool of water hip deep.
It's not something we usually advocate.
Oh, I see what you've done there. So, we've got a very special barrel-proof bourbon. Let's give it a shot. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith, and we are AboutBeverages.com. And the beverage that we're about today is the Stagg Jr. Do I need to throw anything else? Bourbon?
Bourbon.
Barrel-proof.
Unfiltered
from Buffalo Trace. Wow.
132 proof.
That's a lot of proof.
That is a lot of proof.
The proof is in the bottle.
The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding's probably near Phil Collins at some point. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, 132 proof. We're going to try this bourbon a couple different ways. We're going to try it just neat, right out of the bottle. We'll give our impressions to that. Then we're going to do a little time lapse, take a break. And then we're actually going to add a little bit of water based on a formula that I've looked up to bring down the proof to right around 90 proof.
Okay.
It's basically a 2-to-1 ratio. I'd like to give credit. Read an article from the Whiskey Advocate. They had a great article all about what you can do for certain ones that are a little on the hotter side, you might say. Right. If you were wanting to do that, they don't, like you said, advocate doing it one way or the other. But if you were, like I said, if you were into that and want to make little adjustments, they wanted to give you a little science behind it, as opposed to just like, well, I poured some in, so
right.
You can really do the math on, well, if I get this 120 proof thing, I'd like it to be more around 90 or 100. What do I do to it if I want to add a little bit to kind of possibly bring out some more flavors? I've never actually done this before, so this is going to be completely brand new territory for me. So
I think we've maybe done
excited.
a drop of water somewhere.
Maybe.
But I don't know about on a podcast. Maybe it was over at...
Possibly.
Yeah.
We discussed it one time, long time ago when we did a podcast on scotches with Fitz. He talked about why would you want to add water and mellow out your flavors? Why would you want to, thin out all those things? And that could be very well true. We may find that out after doing this, that it's like we'd rather fight through a little bit of the heat to get these flavors than to bring them down a little bit. So that is the plan. And the plan is also to actually have the bottle of bourbon here somewhere on the table. Hopefully, is it being watched over?
There,
it is perfect. Wow.
Oh, jeez.
Perfect camera placement.
Yes.
Look at this guy.
Man.
Okay.
You can barely see the junior part in there.
You can.
You really have to look for it, though.
It is. It's right there. There's the junior right there.
Junior.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference in, there's a Stagg. Which
correct.
Is
there's a George T. Stagg, which is even more expensive.
Is that just because it's aged longer, or?
That one, I believe it could be. This one is somewhere around 10 years. They don't give an age designation, but if you look it up, they talk about that. This is another one of those ones when it makes it, if you can actually find it at the regular price, it's around $50 to $60. On the secondary market, unfortunately, it's another one of those ones that's like $100 to $150 to $200. It can get crazy expensive. But
this was a gift, right?
This was a gift. Okay. Apparently, I am loved just enough to have one of these bottles make it out of my very good friend's house, and that he was it
was only half full.
It was. But I've actually already watered this down. To back up to the regular height. No,
that's why we had to do this. We had to do it this way.
It wasn't really that we wanted to. It's just we had to. I'm noticing right now.
In your information being provided.
In my information being provided.
In real time.
The George T. Stagg, it's a 15-year bourbon. So there you go. Your question has been answered.
So this is 10-ish.
Yeah. So this is, it does not, it says, I think it says about 10 or close to 10 when you look it up there. Oh, it says aged for nearly a decade. Okay. So that's where I got the 10 years
about
on this
10.
one.
All right.
So, so we're going to go ahead and give this a pour. I opened it earlier. I did not have any of it. I kind of wanted, as silly as it sounds, I did want a little bit of air to get to it, a little bit of oxygen.
Right.
I have found that makes a difference. I bought another bottle of the double oaked from Woodford Reserve. And even though I've had that one a bunch of times, I know exactly how it should taste. And if I pour it right out after just opening it, I'm like, nope, that's not right.
Want it. Okay.
It literally has to open up just a little bit. So
other information just being provided to us is that this was named the #1 bourbon of 2019.
I have seen that. I saw it on Buffalo Trace's own website. So then you always
of course, Buffalo Trace says.
By Buffalo Trace Branding Incorporated.
Buffalo Trace top 10 lists.
Exactly. Yeah, their personal top 10 list. But yeah, so it is, like I said, 130. Did I say the right amount?
It's a boot.
132.3 if you want to be crazy accurate.
And you have had full disclosure.
Full disclosure, I have had this in the company of the giver of this whiskey.
Okay,
so
it sounds a little dirtier that way.
It does, doesn't
In
it?
the company of the giver.
Giver. That's actually my new horror movie. It's coming out November of 2020.
In the
company of the giver. Directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we say.
It's kind of more
almost
almost
the darker
honey, like a little darker though, like
Yeah.
kind of more like brown sugar. Like
Yep.
it's getting into that kind of a little more darker territory. But yeah,
I would say
it's bourbon. The color of bourbon.
the color of bourbon. That's on the Pantone scale.
That is. It's got some heat to it.
I was gonna say I had to get past the heat.
Yeah.
My God, the heat!
My God, the heat. It stings the nostrils a touch.
It does sting the nostrils. Yeah.
Not as bad. I swear I've had some things that were even a lesser proof that I could not take at least as deep of an inhale. So I think it's
Yeah.
it's reserved in its power.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. Like I said. So what do you get?
I do get some sweet. Actually, I get some I don't know if because we were mentioning it with the color, but I do get some like brown sugar. There's a little bit of maybe not really caramel, maybe, but a little vanilla. Maybe that's the oak. There's a little spice though to it. Maybe there's
I do
a little cinnamon in there, but not overall.
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah, I definitely get, like I said, brown sugar. I get some spice after that, and like I said, but it's it's almost like a cinnamon toast kind of thing, or
Yes.
something like that, like
Yes.
that brown sugar and
Yeah.
or that I should say just sugar and cinnamon and like a little
Yeah.
buttery, like so the kind of that vanilla buttery kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it has a really good aroma.
It does. Yeah, considering it's as hot, high alcohol as it is, and it is there, that the heat is there, but yeah, it's you can get past that and enjoy a lot of the aromas there.
Yeah. All right, you ready for the rest of it?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Oh, it is hot.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got some burn to it, doesn't it?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my. Holy mackerel. That is.
And it does. It's kind of a delayed reaction too, where like because I've had this before, so I was kind of waiting for like the wallop. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't a strong. Oh, there it is. Like
Whoa.
it hit me kind of like definitely here like going down,
Wow.
and then a little spice on the front.
Yeah.
I actually think it might be smoother than I remembered.
Oh my God, that's getting. Usually with something like this hot, there is like that initial like, oh, I don't know, like tenderizing or calibration where you're like, okay, you're gonna warm up for a little bit, and wow, that is.
Yeah.
But after that goes away, I'll let you know when that is.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
once that resides or recedes, not resides. Once it recedes.
Yeah, like I said, I think it retains a lot of what we got in the notes. Like I don't know if I'm getting anything different at this second. Like I said, but yeah, there's definitely the good, like I said, the brown sugar, the spices there. There's something that comes back forward, and it's very nice, like cinnamon kind of spice on the front of the tongue. Like I said, it's making my mouth water a good little bit as well.
It is actually. Yeah, you're right.
Like I said, you know, even it's weird. It's making my mouth water, but then at the same time, it almost still feels like there's some viscosity to it. Like there's a little more body than I had remembered previously.
It's making your mouth water to put out the fire that's raging
It could
inside.
be. It could be.
No, that's. There's definitely a brown sugary. There's a sweetness there. Not to say that this is sweet, but there is a sweetness quality there.
Yeah.
What else? There's something else in there. Maybe there's the oak that I'm.
I think there's definitely a little oak, a little vanilla. I think that's what's kind of playing. It's definitely reserved and on the back end. But yeah, I think there's a little vanilla in there as well.
Wow.
But yeah,
if you don't mix your air and your drink properly, then it'll come up back and bite you again.
ooh, that sounds like a little rough.
Yeah. That's good though.
But surprising, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said again, like it's one of those things where you, at least for me, like I said initially, I remember when I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's pretty high proof. And like I said, I remember, like I said, my friend was like, it's okay. He's like,
Careful.
He's like, yeah. He's like, this one's, this it was kind of like this one's worth it. Like fighting through the fire is like worth some of those flavors sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think this one definitely is one of those.
This
Like,
is
there's
a perfect one though. I think for as a candidate for the watering down.
For
the adding of the water, not the watering down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, let's see what is expressed by doing that.
Even like we talked about the 21 year that we had, that malt master, he said that they diluted down to like 25% ABV.
It was amazing. Like I said, I don't know if that's because of all the tastings he was doing throughout the day or whatever. But you're correct. Like you said, he put it down like a lot. Like I said, and again, that might be because you're really trying to detect every little note. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, in general, a lot of people, it can be anywhere from just like a little bit to, like I said, the value that we're going to do today. We're going to bring this down to right around 90 proof, roughly. Like I said, the math is 2 ounces of the whiskey, an ounce of water, that kind of blended together. We'll split it, and then we'll kind of give another report back on that. So
I kind of want this to work. I want to I guess just from being able to dilute something and one, make it stretch, but then two, then not have it be as much alcohol. You get an
extra third of a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would have thought?
So anyway, but I won't let that desire cloud my judgment.
All right, we are going to take a quick break because we've got to go mix this up, and then when we come back, we will try the slightly thinned out Stagg with a little bit of water. So we will be right back. All right, we are back. We have done some adjustment,
some mixing,
some light mixing. So the blend that we did a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 ounces of the George T. Stagg Jr. To the 1 ounce of water.
Okay,
that takes this barrel proof bourbon down to right around 90 proof. It's like 88 proof. Okay, so that's what we're working with now. So that is what we were going to go ahead and give a taste to.
So it was
132.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we got it down to 88. I used, like I said, it's water that I would use for drinking. It is it's out of my refrigerator, so it's been filtered. I let it sit out for a while because I didn't want it to be too cold. I wanted it to be room temperature. So this should be about as scientific as I can get.
132. That's like 66%.
Yeah.
Holy
66.7.
So taking it down to like 45.
Yeah.
In theory.
44.
Okay. All right.
Technically,
okay.
if you want to go through all that.
All right.
So. Obviously, much lighter in color. This is definitely much toward a honey color. That's quite a bit. Well, okay.
Yeah, it's lighter.
Okay.
Of course. Of course. How could it not be?
Keith was excited to correct me, and yet he said no.
I was still surprised at how dark it is, though.
Yeah,
honestly.
I would agree. Yeah.
And that's what made me think I needed to see it next to that, because I was surprised.
You're a visual learner. I get it.
I have to.
It's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, definitely deadens the heat.
Yeah, you can take a full aromatic sniff there.
Oh, although actually I can take a full aromatic sniff.
That's true. That one's yeah.
And I really get cinnamon out of that first one. It is, it does. It just dilutes. It just takes what was there and just.
It's spreading it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I initially on the nose, I like the concentration of the full proof.
Yes.
Because I think I got a little bit more out of that. Like if we'd had this one first, I think it would have been a little more muddled.
Nose hairs were all singed away.
Maybe.
And you've recovered from that, then.
Yeah. I think you get a little bit more.
You just get the sweet. You get the sweetness.
Sweet's there, little spice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have quite said brown sugar.
Little spice.
Like I said, I think it's a little more brown sugary in the nose of the full proof. But all right, final test.
So that's not our first sip.
No.
A little bit of time to mull this over. I don't think I'd want to start with the diluted version. I don't think I'd want that to be my. Hey, can you pour me? I'd always want to at least try it.
Like what we did here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it that way, and then I could maybe depending on especially with one like that's really hot. I might want to enjoy that, but there's still something about the full unadulterated version that I think that's probably where I would be. I don't know. I think I'd rather at least initially have a little bit less to drink, but enjoy that as it mellows out, than go to although this isn't bad. I'm surprised actually. And I didn't want to let my desire to like this influence the way I feel. because you still get the heat. It's not like, oh my gosh, you've turned it into water. It's still
No.
there. I don't know. What are you feeling?
I think I'm in the same ballpark as you. I think I after having had like I said, the full proof and then going to this is gonna sound harsh. I have no use for this watered down version. Just because.
No, I get it.
No, just because, like I said, since I'm able to enjoy that one, and like I said, it'd be a slow sipper. It'd be a slow, enjoy. Like I'm not gonna have like giant sips of it.
Right.
But I can.
You don't want a big gulp. It's not gonna be
the impact of all of those flavors is brought down, and maybe if I just added a little bit, maybe there could be a balance. Again, we did a number, like I said, 90 proof is kind of like a nice medium of a lot of different bourbons that we have.
Right.
Maybe 100 to be a little more accurate, but again, I didn't have like a good measuring scale where I was going to be doing that by weight and everything else, So I wanted to be as accurate as I could, so this was kind of that area. For me, I'm still getting some of the heat like you talked about, but then it's like I'm getting less of the flavor. So it's like
flavor.
I'd rather get a little more heat, but then get even more flavor than that. And so that's where I fall down upon, because I really like this bourbon a lot. It's definitely one that I would savor. I'm not going to go through it very quickly, but it's one that I'm going to, like, you know what? I think I want that little extra, and I'm going to have a little bit of that. And I think that's just, for me, goes a long way. Now, there's still good flavor in here.
Right.
I just think it's just like it's thinned out enough where, like I said, you still get some of the heat. It's less heat, but at that amount of heat, it's like I want, like if we had
lost my flavor.
Yeah, I've lost more of my flavor. For me, I was hoping like, if I can still get 90% of the flavor, but knock down some of the burn and some other things by 50%. Well, that's a good ratio.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I've lost kind of both of those things, but maintained like more of that heat
burn.
and spice. And if we had this, if you had said that this is the bourbon right here, the second one that we had that I'm pointing at, where we watered it down, if like this was the regular way the bourbon is, I'd be like, this bourbon's not very good.
Right.
I'd be like, this is kind of. I'd be like, it's kind of watery. It's thin. The flavors aren't that great, and it's kind of hot. Like like that would be what I would be thinking.
Right. There's the heat and the flavor don't balance each other.
Exactly.
There's not enough.
So like thinking of them as separate things, like I said, and then like I said, knowing what is in there. And now,
I think if I had to, I'd rather, like you were saying, I would take the original one, the original proof, and just modify it with a couple drops of water.
Yeah, possibly.
Just to back it off.
If that was something that would work, but like I said, a lot of times, some of the other whiskey reviewers that I've seen, it's usually like they'll have, I don't even know if it's an ounce, but let's call it an ounce of whiskey that they've poured in, into their thing, and they'll maybe put in like literally like a cap off a water bottle. They'll put that much in, and they'll kind of swirl around and taste it. And sometimes they say that opens it up a little bit. Maybe that's like the master spot of just being perfect. But for the testing that we did today, I think you just got to learn how to drink the full proof and just enjoy it.
At least that's
as much as you can.
Yeah,
for me,
we are. Yep.
Yeah, like I said, it just thins out. At least in this one, it just thins it out so much for certain areas of the palate. It just, I don't know.
It takes away too much of the flavor and leaves too much of the heat.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly. You have distilled my thoughts exactly. Fantastic. There we go. We made it.
And we made it.
We made it.
We survived.
And if you enjoyed this podcast or any of the other things that we have done tonight, whether it was live on twitch.tv/AboutBeverages, or if you've just found us in audio form on Spotify, or if you want to watch videos on YouTube, all of these things we would love if you'd subscribe to us.
Appreciate that.
We would really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot. Every person, and whether you comment, let us know what we should be having. We're trying a lot of different things. We're always trying to come up with stuff. Make our lives easier. Tell us what we should try.
Help us.
We will go find it, and then, like I said, then we can try it and say this was brought to us by listener so and so or whatever. Like I said, we'd be more than happy to do that as well for any of our shows. On top of that, we are trying to become pillars of 3 different social media platforms.
3. Yes.
3. Big 3.
The 3.
What are the big 3?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
I would agree. Those are the big 3,
they are.
At least for us. Those are the big 3 for us.
That's right.
That we are usually posting on, especially Twitter. We're always putting when we're going live, whether it's during the week if I'm playing some games and having a beverage, or whether when we're podcasting on Thursdays. All those times we are letting you know right away
where we are and what we're doing.
That's right. And wherever you go,
there you are.
There you are. But as we always say, whether we like it or not,
you should give it a shot.